Hello, everybody. My name is Ross Allen Skorzewski. I am here for our 9 o'clock training this morning. Yes, as you can tell, I've been constantly working on myself. And as I continue to train and work on myself, I start to look more like Dr. Flynn. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you this morning. Ross, for example, is actually off today and stuff like that. So he's actually, with all the good snow that we had and everything, he's actually gone today. So as you can tell, for example, you get me for the time that way. It's kind of funny because I was talking to Ross this morning, because it's not a joke. Ross and I work together all day. We call each other in the morning before we come to work. We talk after work that way. It's kind of nice having a best friend, for example, that's not only on the same page as you, but actually lives life the same way and does life together that way. It's kind of great. And so he called me this morning and said, hey, Doc, I'm going to be off today. Could you cover on the pain aspect that I put out there that way? And I knew I was going to teach, and I don't want to take away from the greatness that he was going to teach for it that way. So I'm actually going to do something a little different today. And based on some of the stuff that you guys asked me to do before, and I've been wanting to do it. And with Ross, actually, the thing that he had prepared for you guys that way, I don't want to take away from the awesomeness that he had planned. So he's going to cover the pain of growth and stuff like that next week because he worked so extremely hard on it. I get to see what he works on all the time. He spends a lot of time. He spends a lot of time prepping for you guys because that's what we do. We prep a lot. So then when it's time to deliver, we deliver. Okay? So it's kind of great. So here's what we're going to do. And I'm going to kind of come back to, as you watch on my Instagram, Ross will actually, and the team, Nancy, Heather, Lizzie, and stuff like that, they will actually, I'll be speaking and we'll do trainings, and then quotes will come up all the time. I'll just say stuff, and next thing I know, Ross pops up some quote on Instagram that way of things that I've done that way, and then people start sending me messages. Well, on Instagram some weeks ago, Ross posted this. Okay, as for example, as you can see, I'm working in the, it's really funny, get this, guys, not a joke. I don't have an office. I just constantly work where everybody is that way. So actually, I want to really quickly say hi to the people there. Let me pop on here and see who's on, because Nancy's with me today, as always. She's right behind the camera. Nancy, how are we doing today on here?
Great.
And so, there we go. 36 people are on. Pretty awesome. Hello, everybody. So what I want you guys to imagine this is, I don't really have an office here. I'm constantly always working around with everybody. We have a nice big warehouse back here and stuff like that. And so I'm sitting on, actually it's kind of funny, a folding plastic table. And because I said, just to me, training is work that way. And so Ross caught a picture of me that way, and we were talking about the training that day, and this kind of impacted people a lot on this, because a lot of people send me a lot of business questions. And so today is going to be a business question response, but really I want to tell something that a lot of people really don't understand. Guys, there's no such thing as business and personal. It's all the same. If you try to separate those things, for example, there's a lot of confusion. So Ross quoted me during one of my trainings, said, my priority list directs my life, not the day of the week. Okay? And then there was another quote that actually Ross used only just a couple weeks ago. It said, the only difference between Sunday and Monday is time management. Okay, because I always tell people are always like, it's a Sunday, is a day of rest. Which, for example, to me doesn't make any sense. Not, for example, that you don't rest. It's just that what they do, it gives people, especially men, the idea, because they worked all week, that they could sit on their butt on Sundays and do nothing. Okay, and all the women just said amen. Okay, especially when people sit on TV all day on Sunday and watch football all day. Okay, we're going to talk about that. It's going to be kind of funny. So let's go through this. So let's go back to my original quote, okay? My priority list directs my life, not the day of the week. Okay, now it's quite interesting. Now, ladies, remember, I'm an equal opportunity offender, all right? There's some things I'm going to talk about that way, and this is where women really struggle when it comes to the priority list. We all have priorities. It's really funny, though. If you're watching right now, and I know you are, I can see you guys on right now, do me a favor. Now, I apologize. I want to turn my volume down here. Let me click on here. Here we go. If you're watching right now, do me a favor. I want you to actually do this. So I'm going to pause for a second. I want you to jump on your phone. I want you to grab a piece of scratch paper. I want you to write down your top 5 or 6 priorities. Let me say it again. I want you to write down your top 5 or 6 priorities. I always tell people start with 5 because a lot of women can't get 2 or 3 and stuff like that. And once again, and the reason why is because they never think about this, okay? But I actually see, because remember, my priorities dictate what I do every day, okay? And then we're going to go to the second quote. But here's what happens, guys. Let's start and really break down life. Because a lot of people write me nice emails, or they come spend time at my house, or they see stuff like this, and they see our team. I mean, they and what they do, and they say, well, Doc, you and your team and all these people have, a really cool life. And I'm like, yeah, because once again, we plan it. We set it up. And you think I'm joking? Come here, Fancy Nancy. Fancy Nancy, as you know, for example, she has dramatically, transformed her life, now physically. But remember, it's really funny. Remember when we first did your priority list?
Yeah.
It was totally bad.
It was a little off.
It was a little off. Now, once again, it wasn't, and I didn't, and here, I'm going to show you my priority list. And for example, and Nancy had to do hers. But what happens, Nancy struggled with the same confusion in her own priority list, but then when she started to get it actually what she believed was right that way, once again, everybody's priority list is different. Now, there are some commonalities on there where I believe, and I'll show you where women make the biggest mistake, and then Nancy made that mistake,
Yeah.
and then at first she struggled with it. So we're going to go through it pretty good that way, so Nancy experienced this. But what happened when you actually got your priority list straight? What happened to your life?
It got easier, and decisions got easier.
There we go. That was a big thing.
Yeah.
Decisions got easier.
Yeah.
Thanks, you Fancy Nancy.
Yep.
So let's do this. So I'm going to do this. Now that you guys wrote down your top 5 or 6 priorities, I'm going to write down my priorities. Because here's what happens. My life, my whole life is dictated by my priorities. Doc, how do you make a decision to go speak somewhere? Doc, how do you make a decision to spend your money? Doc, how do you make a decision to place your time somewhere? Okay? Because remember, our next quote comes back to this. Our next quote is the only difference between Sunday and Monday is time management. So that's our next question, and we're going to define it. So here's what happens. So priorities. So remember, I'm going to write down my priorities. I'm going to write down my priorities, okay? So just understand, everybody can have different priorities, but you're going to find out there are going to be some commonalities between most people's priorities, and there's one in women in particular. And I'm going to actually offend a lot of you women because, once again, you guys say something that sounds so spiritual and so Christian, and it's actually moronic. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not Christian. It's not actually smart. And if you do this, it's going to destroy your life, including Nancy when she actually really did this, okay? So, and I'm talking this to Nancy because Nancy and I get to spend a lot of time together. It's here, there. We got Lizzie there. We got all of our staff. So we've all been through this already. So I'm going to write down my 6 top priorities, okay? Number 1. Okay, now make sure we can see this. So if for some reason, if you can't see because the marker's too light, let me know so I can actually tell you. Number 1. Number 1 is my faith, okay? Once again, then people say, well, Doc, well, I'm not a person of faith. That's fine, okay? But mine actually, for example, is my first priority is my faith that way. Because once again, my faith sets down my morality. My faith sets down a lot of my decision making. It's kind of interesting because when I actually do that, my decisions run through what I call my God filter, okay? For example, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. I had an opportunity to invest into a strip bar. Yeah, I did. I had an opportunity to invest into a strip bar. And even still to this day, it makes incredible money. Do you see what I'm saying? And so if money was my top priority, I probably would have done it. But see, what was my main top priority was my faith. And because of my morality based on my faith, not only would Mark Gungor kick my butt, but so would my wife and all the people that, for example, have done it that way. But wait, Doc, it provides good for a family. That's fine, but once again, I believe in my own faith that way, and I'm a Christian faith that way, that I believe that God's gonna open doors for me that way. So no joke, and Duran, the business thing was presented to me in a very good manner, a very structured business manner, a good business plan, everything like that. But once again, it didn't set my priorities. Okay, I couldn't look at my wife, I couldn't look at my daughters, and I couldn't do that stuff based on that moral compass that way. So what happens is this. So my priorities, once again, my priorities dictate my life, not the day of the week. Okay, once again, let's go here. I kind of giggle when people just show up to church on Sunday. Okay, once again, if you're doing bad stuff Monday through Saturday, but show up on Sunday and praise Jesus, guess what happens? you're not really going through your priorities that way. All right? Because to me, in my personal aspect that way, my priorities, my faith is going to dictate my life. Actually, some of the biggest struggles I have is that, that angel and that devil sitting on your shoulder that way, because once again, you always hear that. They're wrong. When that group of investors came to me and said, look at this amazing investment, you never have to set foot in it, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's fine, but once again, and it could have been a great, and Durham, still to this day, that strip club, that, gentleman's club makes fantastic money. But once again, it didn't fall within my priority list that way, okay? Now, second, ladies, this is where you struggle the most. Look at your priority list, okay? It's really interesting. Now, this is my second priority list. Now, I believe this right here is the biggest mistake people make in priorities, especially women, especially Christian women, because here's what happens. Here we go. Me, Patrick, myself, okay? This is where ladies struggle big time. Now, it's kind of funny. Let's pull up a biblical verse, okay? I did this to Nancy too, okay? Love thy neighbor as you love who? Your children, your husband, your next door neighbor? No, as yourself. I'm going to make this very clear, and this is where women struggle big time, okay? Ladies, if all you do is give and you don't take care of yourself, eventually you have nothing to give. You don't. So the whole idea, for example, when I put up myself, that's why I work on myself to become an amazing person. That's why I work on myself and train and actually become a better version of myself. That's why I'm a constant learner and a constant person reflecting to become better every day, because now the people that I input into get better. See, this is a whole idea. I even see this in people where a woman will give, and then she snaps because she can't give anymore. She's tired. She's fatigued. But you know what happens? But that's what a Christian person does. Now remember, I'm making fun of the Christian stuff right now because, and even though it's our faith that way, is because you hear the stupidest things that sound so romantic, and then their life falls apart. Do you see what I'm saying? And then they're praying to God, going, God, why is it so difficult? Well, you did it. You said God didn't set it up that way, okay? But the idea is this, is taking care of yourself is so important. It's kind of like, for example, this. So how do you take care of yourself? That's the coolest part. That's where training comes in. That's where self-reflecting. That's where always trying to get better. That's why I spend, I'm up nice and early every morning, getting myself prepared. So by the time that my wife gets up, by the time my kids get up that way, I'm already a better version. Do you see what I'm saying? Because a lot of people wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, if that was the case, get a different bed. Do you saying? No. What happens is this, you got to work on yourself to actually become that person that people, for example, can go to when they need help, okay? So ladies, this is not a joke. You know what ladies do right here? Even if you put faith first. So ladies, a lot of you guys may have put your faith first. Awesome. It's fantastic. You know what's really funny? But let's say you're not a person of faith, okay? You know what women do first usually? They put their kids or their husbands above them. And let me tell you that, ladies, if you put your kids above yourself, if you put your husband above yourself, eventually you'll resent both of them. That's a quote right there, Nancy. It's not a joke. Anybody that you put above yourself on your priority list, you'll eventually resent with the exception of God. Not a joke. Oh, I give everything to my kids. Yeah, guess what? And you're going to eventually resent your kids because you're going to be stressed out. I put my husband before myself. Yeah, eventually you're going to resent him too and stuff like that. Because once again, anybody that you don't take care of yourself first, you have nothing to give. And here's what happens. People by nature are takers, especially men. So they will take, and guess what happens? When you have nothing left to give, they thought it was great, but you're depleted that way. See, but here's what happens. When you actually take care of yourself, you actually have more to give to people that way. Here, think of it this way. My family went from one child, from a wife to 4 girls, and guess what? I've gotten older, my company's gotten huge, and stuff like that. I believe I have more to give to everybody constantly. Why? Because I'm always working on myself. See, people don't realize this. When you're working on yourself does not mean you're selfish. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it's all about everything in the world is about you. No, what it means, for example, is I'm trying to create a great version of myself. So now when I come in contact with my wife or my kids or everybody that way, that they're getting the best version of me. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what putting you yourself on the priority list. Now, here's another part. So what's number 3 for me? Well, once again, people think because I'm a dad of 4 girls, the next thing I'm gonna put right here is, guess what? My kids. Christy, my wife, my spouse, okay? Once again, she is my priority over my children, okay? I train my girls. You think I'm joking? You've seen 2 of my daughters. We do this. My daughters have their priority list that way because it dictates what they do daily. Do you see what I'm saying? And the only difference, guys, between every day on priorities is what you do with your time. Sunday, it's even easier to actually deal with your priorities because you have more time because you don't have to go to work on most people that way, okay? That's why I said my priorities dictate what I do every day and how I make my decisions. The day of the week just gives me more time based on the day I'm doing something that way, okay? So if you look, for example, Christy, I tell my girls all the time, listen, your mother is my number 1 priority next to myself and my faith, okay? Why? Because eventually, Faith, Trinity, Callista, Felicity, you're supposed to leave and become somebody else's priority. Do you follow me in that? I tell my girls all the time, they know they are loved dearly. They know that, for example, that daddy loves them more than anything, okay? But here's what happens. They also have to understand that their mother is actually a priority over them. And actually, it's kind of funny. That's why, for example, when I look at spending time management, my date with my wife becomes more of a priority before the date with my kids. If I spend more time with my children than I do with my wife will eventually resent them. Okay? Because why? Because once again, me and my wife, for example, she's more of my priority than my children are. Okay? And if I spend all my time with my kids, I seem like I'm a great father. What kind of father I am is it, for example, that I don't put my wife as a high priority? What kind of dad am I? You're saying? I'm not. I'm not being, for example, what I believe God called me to be. Do you understand? You know what I'm saying? That Christy's my other part. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, guess what? So, and my daughters know it. You know one of the coolest things my oldest daughter said to me? One of the coolest things, and it's kind of awesome. My daughter said to me one time, Daddy, I love the way you treat Mom. Do you understand? It's kind of cool. Mother Teresa actually said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. I'm going to go a little farther on that. Men, if you want to change the world, start by loving your wife dearly and let your kids see that. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that's what they'll expect later in life. See, do you really think my daughters, for example, if they see a guy treat them like crap, they'll be like, my daddy never did that to my mother. Do you see what I'm saying? That's important right there. See, so Christy is a way bigger priority than my kids. Ladies, Nancy made this mistake. Women make the mistake. They put their kids above their husbands. They do. And it's like, it's so Christian. I mean, I hear women say the stupid thing. I'm sorry if I offend you because you guys say the stupid thing. I put my kids at my top priority. Yeah, and that's why you're so stressed out too. That's why your life sucks. Do you see what I'm saying? Because your priorities are messed up, okay? Once again, your kids are eventually going to leave you. They're supposed to. What happens when your kids leave you and they're a top priority and actually guess what happens? Your husband's sitting there and you feel like you have empty nest syndrome because you put everything into your children because it sounds so great, okay? You know why it sounds so great? Because there are people out there that actually are abusive and don't take care of their kids. And so we try to over-exemplify how much we love our children. You know, this happens all the time. As you guys know, I deal with stressed out women all day long. All day long. You know what's really funny? I'll look at them and say, I'll look at the women, and some of you guys are patient by, I've said this. I'll say, are your kids stressing you out? You know what a woman says to me? They say, I love my kids. I said, I never questioned that you love your kids. I asked you if your kids were stressing you out. And then here come the tears. See, it's for example, it's almost like it's like voodoo to a woman that say their kids are stressing her out because they're supposed to be so high priority that way. No, listen, kids are supposed to stress you out. That's the greatest thing is you train them, you grow them up, you kick them out. Do you understand? It's that nice, okay? It's kind of fun. So anyways, long story short, that's I think this is the biggest mistake. So I want to tell you right now, I believe, because no joke, the majority of my company is what, Nancy? Probably 80% women? Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying? And I'm saying, ladies, if you want to make you build a good life, understand, create your priority list, and if you're married, that husband becomes for the kids. Vice versa, the men that work here. Do you see what I'm saying? Your wife is much more of a priority than your children. Don't just connect with your children and leave your wife disconnected that way. Do you know why? Because women will resent their kids. I even watched this. You know something is this? My decision making is also based on my priorities. So regardless of what my kids do to make my wife upset, guess what happens? I always back my wife. Always. And even if my kids were right, even if my kids, for example, did something that way and they're like, it was that maybe we disagreed on. But the idea is this, my wife, when it comes to my kids, my wife is always right because she's a greater priority to me. And then once again, then Christy and I can discuss stuff that way. Do you see what I'm saying? Now, what's number 5 for me? The wellness way. Wellness way. It's the means, for example, the things I prioritize my life on that way. Now, see, a lot of people do this. They'll put friends and family and stuff like that. That's fine, but the friends and family don't provide for my family. You're saying, I don't live off my dad and mom. I don't live off. It sounds romantic that your family's on the priority list, but guess what? On your priority list dictates you need to spend time with those people, okay? Once again, for example, let's go to this quote. Like today, the only difference between, let's say, Wednesday and Sunday is time management of my priorities, okay? See, because it's really funny. I love this one. I heard people say, God's the most important part of my life, so I'm going to spend the most time with them. Well, if you work 8 hours a day and you sleep 8 hours a day, that means if God's the most important, it's based on time, then you're going to spend 8 hours a day with God, and you're going to have no time for everything else, and everything else is going to fall apart in your life. It's not based on what time you put into it that way, okay? It's about the time management. And you're going to find out this. See, a lot of people, even doctors that come on board with me, they say, Doc, how do you accomplish so much in a day? I say, you have the same time I do. I just have my priorities dictate what I do with my time management. My priorities help me dictate my time management. Do you see what I'm saying? I will never choose the wellness way over Christy. I will never choose my wellness way over my kids. Once again, because why? Let's say I build a big national brand company, things are great, multimillionaire, get on all the big TV shows, and my wife and my kids suck. I'm not a success. I say this all the time. And I'm not being mean, but here's what happens. I mean this sincerely, and I don't know if she has grown and changed, but let's just go back 5-6 years ago, okay? And I asked you this. I asked my staff this question all the time because this is the concept. And I don't know this person, but let's just take a figurative aspect that way. Let's say you had 3 children, and they were young children, and they needed a babysitter or they needed a nanny. Would you want Paris Hilton to actually be your nanny? See, all you guys kind of giggle because she became a star. She became a star living off her daddy's building, her grandpa's building stuff of having hotels. Now, turn around. The Hilton family say, look they've been great success. Why? Because their business did well? If people look at me as success based on wellness way success, man, you've lost it. If my wife hates me and my kids are a pile of crap and I'm a multimillionaire, run from me as quickly as possible because I really suck, because I have no priorities. What I did is I put work way up here and I had kids and I had a wife and they're falling apart. In my view, I don't believe I'm honoring God by doing that. Mother Teresa had it right. You want to change the world? Go home and take care of your family. That's what I believe. Do you understand? You don't have to believe what I believe. But a lot of people say, Doc, you have success in business. I'll tell you this. This is total faith thing, not a joke. The more I focus on Christy, the more I focus on my family, guess what happens? For some reason, I believe it's my personal thing. Nancy's kind of laughing back there. My personal thing, I believe then I have God's favor and God's blessing for doing that because I'm taking care of the priorities I'm supposed to be there that way. You understand? I try to be the best version of myself so I can be a best husband so my wife is proud of me. I try to be the best person I can be so my kids are proud of me. And it just seems, no joke. Guys, I can honestly tell you, I love Tim Tebow. I would love to meet Tim Tebow. Anybody has any connection with Tim Tebow? I would love to meet him. Because Tim Tebow said something really cool. And I think, for example, follow him on Facebook and Instagram because he posts some amazing things. Tim Tebow said something that was really cool. He said, when he looks at his life, and I do the same thing, you look at life going, man, people think, I have great confidence. No, I have great confidence, for example, who I've become, okay, and who I can become in the future that way. But man, I'm a small person, but there's a big God. See what I'm saying? And so I said, listen, there has to be some God's favor in my life because I can't explain the crap that happens to me. I can't, man. I'm telling you right now. I just believe that if I'm honoring God and I'm being the best version of myself and I'm taking care of the most beautiful woman that said I do to me and I'm trying to be the good representation of my kids and then I come to a beautiful idea, which I call the wellness way, and actually just share my heart and train these people and get all of my team to actually have the perspective of growth. That means, once again, when Nancy came here, I hired her for her talent. But then what I did is I wanted to invest in her as a person so she could live a great life. So her and her husband and her kids could build a good life. We have to start investing into people. We have to start investing into people because, once again, great people make a great company. I don't care how great your product is. If you have crappy people, eventually the product will end. You know what I'm saying? So that's my basis on that. You know what I'm saying? So now, you know what number 6 is for me? Not a joke. Everybody laughs about this. Golf. I love golf. Okay? Once again, and trust me, I'm not the best golfer in our company. Dr. Jason and Greg and Dr. Sean, all these people golf a lot better than I do. But once again, we're a golfing family. My wife loves golf. My kids love golf. I love golf. It's kind of cool. Now, if you look, here's what happens. Golf's on my priority list before a lot of things are. You know what I'm saying? But here's one thing that's cool. It's really interesting. Let me give you a real life example. So we like to golf, but we don't always get to golf together as a family. So sometimes I'll go golfing with Dr. Jason or Greg or some of our docs across the country that way, Dr. Zach in Appleton. And I'll come to my wife and I'll say, hey, Christy, do we got anything going on? Because I'm going to go hit some balls with Dr. Jason or Zach. And she'll be like, no, cool, have fun. Now, a lot of you husbands right now, they're watching and going, what? Your wife just says, go ahead and stuff like that? Yeah. Do you know why? Because my wife never feels that golf is a priority above her. Guys, let me give you a little hint. Focus massively on your wife and make sure she knows her a priority. She'll never care what you do. You know why? Because in her heart, she knows that you put her above everything else besides your faith in you being a great husband. Not a joke. That gives women great security as I see Nancy's head do this. Do you see what I'm saying? Christy has never said to me, what? You can't go golfing? She's never said that to me. You know what I'm saying? But you know something? If I treat her like crap, if she didn't feel like a priority, if she didn't, feel, loved as a woman, if she didn't feel those things that way, if she didn't realize that my priority list is this, guess what happened? She probably would hate for me going golfing or fishing. I'm not a fisher, but I just want to use examples, things that other guys like to do. Do you see what I'm saying? That's intense. That's, for example, why I have a priority list. That's why, let's go here. My priority list dictates my life, not the day of the week. Every morning I get up, that's my focus, not my job. Every morning I get up and I try to put them in order, and actually this is what directs my life. This is what controls my life. This actually, for example, gets me to a high level. But here's what happens. The only difference between Sunday and Wednesday and Friday and actually Saturday is time management. To me, for example, is this. I don't get the day of rest. I don't. I don't get the cheat day where I get to do nothing. Because the day that you sit around and watch TV all day long, which means nothing to your life, do you see what I'm saying? Let me give you an example how me and Nancy differ on one thing, okay? Not in a bad way. This is a really good thing, okay? My wife and I, and no joke, and I took care of a Packer player yesterday, okay? Can't tell you who, but I took care of a Packer player yesterday. Think about this. I'm not a big Packer fan. Nancy, Brian, and her kids are. So guess what? The Packers are not on my priority list. They aren't. Do you see what I'm saying? Because why? Because my wife doesn't really care. My kids don't really care. So if I sit on my butt on Sunday and watch football all day long because I need a day to relax, you are destroying your life. And then people tell me this, Doc, I want to get to a high level. Doc, I want to work on my marriage. Doc, I want to do this. But I don't seem to have enough time. Yeah, because you're wasting so much time. You're not arranging your priorities. Now, if you love the Packers, like Nancy and Brian do, man, that can become family time. So you can love the Packers like crazy, get in your jerseys and stuff like that, watch the game, celebrate with your wife, celebrate with kids, have an awesome time. You can love the Packers that way. See, I just make fun of the Packers because I watch guys do this. Their wife doesn't care about football. She doesn't care about the NFL. She doesn't care about the Packers and stuff like that. The reason I'm using the Packers, obviously, because we're in Green Bay. And so the wife actually does what? Every Sunday, this guy, my husband's got to sit and drink beer all day and watch the football game. And guess what? He never time managed during the week. So he always used this. Well, honey, you know I have to work. Do you see what I'm saying? And what happens is that work went above her, and she starts to become disconnected because she doesn't feel like a priority anymore. Oh. You know what I'm saying? That's the tough part. Now, Maria, I'm not saying you can't love the Packers. You can love them. But here, guys, let me tell you this. If you love the Packers and your wife doesn't, it's going to be a problem. I mean this sincerely. Guys, if you love sports a lot, you better marry a woman that does. Otherwise, she's going to resent it eventually. Because anything, for example, that she feels above a priority list, above her, she's going to resent. From your kids to your job to what you really love, all things like that. And people say, well, Doc, that's not fair. Never said it was fair. Don't get married. Don't get married. Stay single. You don't have to worry about it whatsoever. Yeah, but then I want to have kids and I want to do this, but I don't want to give up. I want to smack a guy when he says that. I've never heard that woman. I don't want to get married because I don't want to give up these things. When are you giving up anything by getting married? When are you giving up anything by having children? What you're saying is you're staying your young narcissistic self and don't want to grow up. You know what I'm saying? That's the tough part. It drives me freaking nuts. Anyways, so Nancy got me all frustrated now. No, so here's what happens. So now, Dawn, you can actually I actually have my top 10, and it helps me dictate my decisions. Now, imagine this. Think about this. When we decide to do something, so how do I make my decisions then? Because I don't make my decisions by myself. So let's go to step 2. I don't make my decisions by myself. I really don't. Okay? No joke. Not a joke. People say, Doc, what do you pray for? I mean, this is my own personal thing, so leave it at that. It's my own personal thing. I actually always tell people this. I always pray for wisdom. You know, I always tell people the story of Solomon was known as the wisest man that ever walked the earth. And Nancy, what was his number one prayer? Wisdom. Ask for wisdom. So no joke, I just pray for wisdom constantly that way, okay, to make the right decisions that way. And then I sit down with Christy and my girls, and then we make decisions as a family. For example, I'm asked to speak a lot. So I sit down with my priority, my wife, and say, as a family, do I want to go speak if it takes me away? You understand? Do I want to go speak if it does this? Well, we decided where we want to go as a family. We decided what we want to do for vacations. Do we want to build a new house? Do we want to do these things that way? And then the cool thing is, our decisions, my decisions, are made with my wife and as a family to dictate what I'm going to do as far as actions that way. See, it's kind of funny. I have to travel, no joke. At the end of this month, I'll be gone for a week and a half. I won't see my girls. I won't see my 4 girls besides with this for a week and a half because I have to go to Colorado, Portland, Hawaii, all those things by the time I do that. But see, me and my wife and my girls made decisions in life that said, listen, if we're going to accomplish these things, then daddy has to take certain actions and mommy has to take certain actions, and our kids understand it that way. So therefore, what I really do so my girls don't feel like they're not a priority is I allow them to have input on some of the decisions that me and mommy make. My 14-year-old and 11-year-old know what daddy does all the time. My 14-year-old understands, for example, and so does my 11-year-old, and even my 8-year-old, why sometimes daddy has to go overnight and go to Minnesota or go to Chicago or go things like that. But they understand why we're doing it that way. Because we sat down and we shared our priorities and we built that life together, and those are the things that happen, okay? And then the cool thing is this, guys, let me tell you this. We all have the same amount of time. We all do. Guess what? I have the same amount of time that you do. I have the same amount of time that Nancy does. I have the same amount of time that every person on this planet does. But then people will actually look at what we do and they think you actually, I hear this all the time and it frustrates me. Because they say, Doc, you accomplished so much. I look right back at them and say, you can too. You just waste time. Do you see what I'm saying? My decisions all day long go right there. It does. It goes right there. That's how I make my decisions. That's what dictates my life. But Doc, it's Sunday, right there. Doc, it's Wednesday, right there. Doc, it's Christmas, right there. Doc, it's Easter, right there. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Most of you guys live for the weekends because you don't have to have any priorities. And you justified it because you worked and you're tired. You're tired because you're not building a life. You're tired because you're getting through life. Hey, that was a damn good quote too. No joke. So these guys quote me like crazy. I actually just come up with these things at the top of my head. Thank you, Lord. Do you know what I'm saying? Wisdom. Do you know what I'm saying? But I don't get through life. My team doesn't get through life. You know, there's 3 questions I'll share with you guys that I ask myself every day. Number 1, what am I doing to develop myself? And that takes my faith. Number 2, what am I doing to develop my family? And number 3, what am I doing to develop the people around me? I've committed my life to those 3 questions, and lo and behold, I'm developing an amazing life, and I'm helping other people, from Nancy to Ross to Kim to Bree to Jason to all the docs across the country, to help build a life, not a career. When somebody comes to the Wellness Way as an employee, when someone comes to the Wellness Way as a doc, I don't teach them to build a practice. I teach them to build a life. And part of their life is their practice. But I care more about who they become than what they do. Because give me somebody that actually will work on themselves and become something great, it doesn't matter what they do because they'll make a big impact on this life. See, every one of you guys can make a big impact. You don't have to be a doc. You don't have to be a surgeon. You don't have to be an engineer. All you have to do is ask 3 questions and you can change the world around you. What are you doing to develop yourself? What are you doing to develop the people around you? Or excuse me, what are you doing to develop your family? And number 3, what are you doing to develop the people around you? That will make your life great. Guys, do me a favor. Do me a favor. Send me your priority list. Send me your priority list because now, after hearing this, I guarantee you're going to rewrite it. You're going to rewrite it. But see, the sad part is this, guys. Nobody teaches anybody. Nobody pours into people anybody. We're so busy, we're living, but we're not building a life. And by the time you get to the end of your life, you're filled with a lot of regret. Don't want you to have regret. I want you to enjoy the days. I don't want you to look forward to the weekends. I want you to look forward to getting up every morning. That's how I live my life. It's not fake. These docs here, all the people here will tell you. That's why I like when people actually come and hang out with me that way. It's not a show. I'm not the greatest showman. I love that movie, great movie. I'm not the greatest showman. What happens is I'm authentic, and some people love what I have to say, and some people hate it. Either way, I don't care because they're not on my priority list. You guys have an amazing afternoon. I appreciate you guys all watching. Big hug and kisses out to you guys that way. You guys will see Ross crush it next Wednesday because that man has worked so hard on developing himself, developing his family, and he started his Wednesday show so you could develop people around you. You guys have a wonderful Wednesday. It's a beautiful day. Go affect people around you.